The next principle is choice. In many ways, choice is just a natural extension of equality. If I see you as a person who is equal, then you're going to have some choices over what you do. And I think we misunderstand this, and we misunderstand its primacy in life. I think without choice, it's very hard to get commitment. The old saying is, when you insist, they will resist. And if you don't give people a choice, they're probably going to resist. We learn, whether we're talking about a 6-year-old or an 86-year-old, a bad strategy for change is to say you have to do it. And so we offer choices. The first book that really got me thinking about it is one I mentioned the first day, which is this book, Stewardship. And here's what Peter Block says that probably really shaped my thinking in a deep way about the power of choice and the importance of choice. He says, partners each have a right to say no. Saying no is the fundamental way we have of differentiating ourselves. To take away my right to say no is to claim sovereignty over me. For me to believe that I can't say no is to yield sovereignty. And if we can't say no, then saying yes has no meaning. I mean, choice is critical, and there are a whole lot of different researchers who've done it, particularly DC and Ryan, to say that our capacity for autonomy is one of the big things that is motivating for us. DC and Ryan say one of the 3 things that motivates our life is autonomy over what we do. But this is a nuanced principle. It's not simply just do whatever the heck you want. There's more to it than that, a lot more to it. And one of the people who helps us understand the nuances is Sheena Iyengar in this book, The Art of Choosing. In The Art of Choosing, she talks about a famous study she did which showed that too much choice isn't particularly helpful. Barry Schwartz coined the phrase in his book by the same name, the paradox of choice. The paradox of choice is when we have too many choices, it inhibits our capacity to make a choice. We're overwhelmed by all the options. You might imagine somebody going to Starbucks for the first time, confronted with, I think it's something like 15,000 different ways in which they can have a cup of coffee, who might see all those choices and be overwhelmed by choices. And many teachers suffer what researchers refer to as innovation overload. So many things going on, it's hard to choose. So part of choice is helping people make the choice. Sometimes leaders of change have to be kind of like the server at the Cheesecake Factory. If you've ever gone there, the menu is like got over 250 possible items in it. It's enormous. But if you have a great server, they'll help you through it. Instead of you having to read every one of those items, they'll say, well, what are you feeling like today? And this is the section you might want to look like. They walk you through it. They basically curate the knowledge and help you make the choice. And change leaders, that's one thing they have to do, is recognize choice isn't just about all the choices in the world. The other thing is that some choices aren't on the table. You can't just do whatever you want. Some things are non-negotiable. You can't say, for example, if you're in a school, let's have martinis at 10 every day. That's probably not going to go. The chances are there are going to be non-negotiables. There are things you have to do. But if everything's a non-negotiable, you won't have any commitment to change. You might get compliance, but you won't get a deep level of commitment. Now, one word that people struggle with when it comes to choice is the concept of accountability. And I think, and Peter Block is the one who helped me understand this, I think people have a poor understanding of what accountability is. Accountability, in my mind, isn't doing what you're told. Accountability is having a deep commitment to doing what needs to happen. I'll give you an example, and I distinguish between what I call professional or responsible accountability and irresponsible accountability. Now, we had someone come to one of our workshops in Kansas, and she said, I've got this situation. My principal went to a teacher and said, your scores aren't very good, you really need to change what you're doing. And the teacher looked at the principal and said, I'm doing everything you said. I'm implementing your program the way you said it. I'm doing it with fidelity. If it's not working, it's not me. It's your program. That's irresponsible accountability. She didn't feel any ownership because she didn't have a choice, because she was just doing what she's told. And you, if you're a coach, might work with a teacher who says, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And what they're really saying is, I don't want to really own this thing. If you really want people to have responsible accountability, what you have to do is give them a choice. So they choose, so they own what they do, so they can make it happen in the coaching cycle. They get a clear picture of current reality. They identify a goal that's emotionally compelling to them, and they move forward. I would add one more thing about choice, and that's this. One choice that I don't think is on the table is choosing not to keep growing and developing, not if you're a professional. When you teach concepts, there are always present characteristics. In the concept of a triangle, there are 3 lines. And the concept of tragedy, it ends unhappily. Every concept always has these always present characteristics. In the concept of professionalism, an always present characteristic is continuous improvement. If you want to call yourself professional, you have to be continuously improving. I mean, how would you like to go see a doctor? Maybe with your mom, and your mom's really sick, and you don't know what's wrong, and her fever is high, and you're worried about her. And the doctor says, well, there's probably been some new treatments for this in the last 15 years, but I haven't really kept up, but what I've always done is probably okay. You would say, no, this is my mom. A life hangs in the balance. You have to be keeping up. That's what professionals do. And whether it's the operating room or the classroom, we need to be getting better at what we do. That's not a choice. Not if we want to be in the group called professional, because professionals are always committed to improvement. But the bigger picture is this. If we take away all choice, we likely take away responsible accountability. We likely take away commitment to change. We get compliance. We take away empowerment. And we take away the likelihood that the change will work. Choice is that important.